So I think I don't know what I'm going to necessarily call this video, but I think I want to name it somewhere along the lines of they don't want equal rights. They want superiority. I'm kind of going to piggyback it off of a video that I just did, basically talking about accusations of rape. See, the one thing that since I've left the Democratic plantation about roughly 6 years ago, actually this November will be 6 years ago. This was when I decided I wasn't going to vote anymore. Not for Democrat or Republican, but that's neither here nor there, and that's not what this video is about. But once I left the Democratic plantation and wanted to start thinking for myself, being able to look at situations, look at individual scenarios, and come to a conclusion on my own, without being told by the liberal media or the conservative media or liberal pundits, conservative pundits, of how I should feel about something. Let me take a look at it, and then let me decide how I feel about it. Now, the one thing that I've been very vocal on, and I've been very vocal for probably the last 4 to 5 years, has been black women. And the double standards that exist among black women and black men. I don't typically get into other stuff because that's how I see it. Other people's race and issues in their race, that's their stuff. And I'm not affected by that, so I don't necessarily put my 2 cents in on that. And I don't have a political affiliation with anyone other than myself. So when I see things happen, like whether it's just people keep walking by my driveway and just trying to, I know there was a football game out here, but it's like, come on, man, just get in your car and go. Like, you pacing back and forth for. With the whole Donald Trump thing, the whole, what's his name, Scott Kavanaugh, I think is his name, the Supreme Court justice nominee. And I'm seeing a lot of this, I'm seeing feminism rear its ugly vagina again. And it often makes me wonder why. See, there is an attack. There is a all-out aggressive, but at the same time, subtle Chinese water drip attack on masculinity. So yes, if you don't see it, to try to conceptualize it, you may not be able to. You may not see what I see. But as the father of 3 boys, and going to one of them going into UPK and now in preschool, it concerns me a lot for his future of interaction with females, because they have given females so much advantage that whole school curriculums are designed to help empower women or empower girls and shit on boys. Yet these will be the same women 18 years later when my son, well, 18 years later, he'll be 5. So he'll be like in his mid-20s. Now, if I was a shitty father and I didn't care and I didn't know all of what was going on, and let's say I wasn't even in the picture, right? Let's say I wasn't in my son's life at all. These would be the same women bitching about how these men ain't shit and they don't know how to be men. Women can't see tomorrow. because they're obsessed with today. Not even today. They're obsessed with right now. See, women like to get the upper hand. They don't like to earn the upper hand. They like to get the upper hand. See, through sports is how us men learned how to strategize. We learned how to use our male side of the brain. See, men, we have never been given empowerment. We have to, it is survival of the fittest amongst us. And what these women have done has the men that are not completely converted, they've turned into super simps. So now they think that there's a form of masculinity to always be in defense of a female, no matter what that female does. So this male will super simp for a female who doesn't want him because he is just a tool to her to take out a male who's like, fuck a bitch. Fuck what she think and fuck what she feel. That doesn't make sense. This is what we need to do. Now, that has been the strategy for the last I'd say probably 11 years. That has been the strategy. I would say probably around 2016, 17, as Barack Obama was leaving office, they shifted it from we're going to use these simps to now we're just going to all out say it's toxic masculinity. They used Obama to talk all this bullshit about how everything is greater with women. No, it's not. Everything is not greater with women because women have emotions that change. They're fucking variable. It's like the weather. They could be like today. It's bright sunshine and sunshiny out here. But where I live, in the morning, it's fucking foggy. It's wet out. The ground is always holding in moisture. It's like muddy all the fucking time, even when the sun is out. The weather just changes. And that's how female emotions are. If you don't get a female that has been grounded by a male, what will end up happening is she will be with a man until she feels it's no longer satisfying to her, and then she will leave. That's not necessarily thinking for tomorrow, because you might not be whatever it is, physically attracted to a male. It may come to a point where you end up making more money than that male, but that male is still a good quality male. He just may not, he may have either gone through hard times or just the facts of the situation have just changed to the point of he's not making the same amount of money anymore. Now you're going to leave this man who's been dedicated to you because he's making less money than you? That's that idiotic, dumb female logic. That's why things are not better with females unless they have been grounded by a father. Because a father is always going to instill logic. A father is always going to have When I talk to females that had their father in their life, the conversations are so much better, so much easier. It doesn't feel like nails on a chalkboard. But when you talk to a female who never had a logical daddy in her life, or never had a daddy at all in her life, she is very hard to talk to. Yes, she may be pretty. Yes, she may be something you'd want to put your penis in. But at the end of the day, when it comes to conversation, there's no connection because she's not grounded in logic. And for so long, over the past 10 years, it's been all these chick songs trying to impart, woman hear me roar, all this shit. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, that's fine. But you got to understand, genetics will always win out at the end of the day. You can try to manipulate and try to control, but at the end of the day, the innate cave people or whatever, maybe not cave, but original people, whatever you want to call it, that instinct, that primitive instinct will always override any programming, because at the end of the day, A man wants to protect and provide. A woman needs to be protected and serve her provider and protector. That is whether you like it or not, that is the essence of basic human civilization. It's not for women to get out there and do what men do. Women are not strong enough to do that on a continuous basis. Yes, for a couple years, 10 years, 15 years. But as a woman ages, so does her bone density. She couldn't be a cop well into her 50s like a man could. It just is what it is. It's not me being chauvinistic or trying to down talk women. It is what it is. Women often complain about equal rights, equal pay. Well, you don't want equal punishment. I talked about a story that I saw and read. The video I saw was by Tommy Sotomayor, and then I saw the story on Facebook and went to the link to the website, or to the link to that particular website, and read that story too. And there was a teacher who had sex with a teenage student and got 10 years probation. Now ask yourself, if a man would have made a teenage girl, now she gave them head, oral sex. Now imagine if a man would have had a teenage girl give him oral sex. With 10 years probation, could you see a man just being sentenced to 10 years probation? Now, to the DA's defense, they wanted jail time. The judge decided 10 years probation and being able to still teach young children was okay. See, at the end of the day, these women don't want equal rights. They want superior rights. They want the right to oppress a man and keep their thumb or their stiletto on a man's neck or testicles, so that once they have them there, he is subjected and subjugated to them. And if he happens by chance to rise up, then he will be labeled a rapist. He will be labeled a sexist. He will be labeled a sexual violent predator if you do not acquiesce to their domination. See, everything's a beta program within the black community. And now we're starting to see that same bullshit play out in the dominant society, white community, etc. Them Arabs, they shutting that shit down. Now there's some Arab places where it's taking hold, but for the most part, them serious Arab nations, them religious Arab, they striking that female empowerment shit down because they know what it leads to. It's not as if that they don't want women to have any rights, but they know when they give women a place of power, majority of them don't know what to do with that power. And then they begin to demand stupid shit that doesn't benefit nobody but them. That is the problem. But they've been pushing this shit on the black community that's why I said it's been about like a 10, 15 year program. And as Obama left office, he was finishing up that program so that once Trump came in, because this is all a show, this is all a selection. Everything that you see right now has been preordained for you to see it now. It's been done. Okay? This is all just a show. It's mass programmation or mass programming, social programming, social manipulation, whatever you want to call it. That's what the fuck it is. They've been manipulating society down this slippery slope for the last 15, since we hit 2000. It's been that way. It was a slow trickle at first, and then they turned it on full blast at the end of Obama's 8 years. And you got to understand, if you destroy masculinity out of any nation, that nation will surely fall. Because who's going to be there to do, who's going to want to stand up and defend? Because one, even if you still have masculinity, you're like, I'm not going to stand up, risk my life, just so that these fuckers over here can sit there and talk about how toxic I am. Fuck them. So who's going to want to stand up? Or this is the option, the second option that could happen. You have a bunch of effeminate men who, the moment they see that guns may get drawn out, they get scared and haul ass. And this is what you feminists don't understand. See, you think it's cool to emasculate men and have them walk around with their tails between their legs. But what you don't understand is it's inevitable that another nation is going to take over America. It's going to happen. It's inevitable because we are seeing a manipulation, a modification in manhood like I've never seen before in my life. I'm 36 years old, born in 1982. And coming up throughout the 80s and through the 90s, you knew what it was to be a boy. You knew what it was to be a teenage boy. You knew what it was to be a young man. You knew what it was to be a man. Like, you knew it. There was no PC. There was no, you couldn't say faggot, you couldn't say gay, you were what you were. If you saw it and it quacked like a duck, you called it a duck. You didn't call it an amphibious web-foot animal. Like, that's not the shit that was going down when I was coming up. And they've been progressively programming the younger generations to be effeminate and pussified and scared to rise up against a female presence. That's why they rarely hire, a school will rarely have a multitude of men as teachers. Because, see, when I was coming up, I had like a mix. There was some men, there was some women. Now, in my younger years, there was a lot of women. As I got older, there was some men mixed in there. And then when I got to middle school, there was a lot more men mixed in there. And you kind of knew, okay, that's a male authority. That's a male figure. You got to respect that figure. And a lot of the female teachers got ran over because we didn't respect that. But they've changed that. And they progressively started to hire, especially more attractive teachers. Because when I was coming through, they didn't have a whole bunch of attractive teachers wearing tight clothes. And there was these teachers that used to wear these 1950 dresses and old as fuck. There was no, I can't look back and say I had one attractive female teacher from elementary school to middle school to high school. Not one. Not a one. Not ever. Not one was even remotely attractive. Not close. So it's been using what comes natural to a man, with such as the eye and seeing beauty, and manipulating that into their own demise, making them worship that beauty as opposed to saying, yes, that's beautiful, but what you're saying and what you're doing makes absolutely no sense. You can't separate the two now. Now, if you're beautiful and you say anything, oh, you're a queen, you're beautiful, you're a genius. No, you're not. Because they got you scared that you're going to get the TDS syndrome, thirsty dick syndrome. They inbred that fear in you that your dick is going to be dry if you go against what we're saying. See, I don't want to make this too long a video, but at the end of the day, what are we men gonna do about that? There's a movement, there's movements out there, there's men going their own way. MGTOW, okay, fine, cool. We're gonna go our own, you're gonna go your own way, okay? I get that. I ain't knocking your movement, so don't think that I am. But what are we going to do? Because I trust me, I'm married. I love my wife and everything like that. My wife is not what these women are out there. But at the end of the day, I got three men, future men that I got to raise up. And I'm not going to raise them up to believe, oh, everything's just hunky-dory and fine. I think what we need to do, especially us as fathers that have the ability to have some type of presence in our children's lives, straight up be honest with them and tell them what the world really is about. The world is not about helping you out, especially if you're a black man. But if you're a man in general, the world is not out to help you. They're out to shame you. If you work hard and put yourself on, you are the asshole for not putting other people on. They want you to want it for them, for other people who wouldn't work like you work. I'll say this one story, and then I'm going to end it because it's a 20-minute video, and I really wasn't trying to go this long with this video. But I remember when I bowled my first 300, I was 17 going on 19. And I remember I worked my ass off hard because I always wanted to bowl a perfect game. And if you ever bowled a perfect game, especially like I only have 3 in my career, 3 perfect games in my whole entire life that I've bowled. If you've ever bowled a 300, it is such an adrenaline rush on that last shot. I mean, my knees were so weak, I caught spaghetti knees. And I remember I threw the ball, I got way slow, it crossed over and hit Brooklyn. For those that ain't familiar with bowling terminology, here's the head pin, and I don't know how it's going to show up on the video because I got the camera, but basically, it was supposed to hit this side of the pin. It ended up hitting this side of the pin, the left hand side, because I'm a right hander, so it hit the left hand side of the pin. And I remember thinking to myself, oh no, like I made a bad shot. 11 shots. Took me forever to get to this point. I may never get. All these thoughts are going through my mind as I'm seeing the ball go down the lane. And then once the ball hits the pins and I see that somehow, it just shredded the rack. I remember I was walking back to the seats. I remember I just threw both my like this, like yes. And I remember walking back and I just like fell on it because I was just so like it just took everything out of me. And that was such an exhilarating moment for me because I worked so hard for it. I practiced many a days for that moment and it happened. And then right after that, I had other parents come to me. Well, I guess I can't say the story about the whole story. So the next week, I guess they had a local pro that wanted to come in and, shake my hand, congratulate me, whatever. Well, my mom worked a weekend job and I didn't have money. I didn't have a job at the time. I was 17 and my mother didn't want me working because I had worked in prior years, but she wanted me to focus on my school. So I didn't have a part-time job like I normally would have. And so I didn't go the next week. So I went the following week. People were all pissed off at me. Like, why? Oh, well, we had someone here to come see you and you didn't come. And I'm like, well, I couldn't come. My mom had to work and I didn't have the money to pay for bowling. Well, you could have called and let someone know. I'm like, when have I ever called before when I didn't show up? If I didn't show up, I didn't show up. And I was like, if you had someone that was going to come, why didn't you call me during the week and say, hey, we're going to have this local pro come. He wants to talk to you or congratulate you. And I would have had someone would have brought me out there if I knew it was that serious. But beyond that point, people started pressing me to coach their children. When I came in, there were older kids who were better than me. I strived to beat them. That's what I was trying to do. I wanted to beat them. That's because I was raised up in a different generation that was competitive, that wanted to win, that didn't want just a participation trophy. I wanted the number 1 trophy. That's where I grew up in. That's the era that I grew up in. These kids came, they wanted to, that was their one place where they could meet outside of school and hang out, talk about bullshit, talk about little junior high and high school bullshit, and they didn't give a fuck about bowling. And I finally went off on a parent and I said, look, I don't mind helping him out, helping your child out, but he doesn't care about bowling like that. He doesn't. Look at his body language every time you ask me to go over after he misses a shot. He doesn't care. Like, you want me to want it more than he wants it. And it was like nobody understood how hard I worked for that 300. I worked hard for it. And people punished me and tried to take it away from me. Now, a lot of it was race. I believe so. I'm not a guy that pulls the race card, but I was the only black dude out there. Would they have done that to another white dude? I don't think so. But when it came time for me to get in these tournaments, because I bowled a 300, get in these scholarship tournaments, nobody was trying to help me. Because why? They wanted me to give myself to everyone else and want it for them. When I was just trying to do for myself, I wasn't trying to do for everybody else. It wasn't my job to make this man's child a better bowler. That's, excuse me, that's your job. And that's the coach's job. They tried to make me an honorary coach and not pay me. And I got to that point where I was like, if you want me to do this, then start paying me. You want me to go around coaching these kids, but you don't want to pay me nothing for it. So when I pulled myself back, that's when everybody turned their ass to me. Nobody wanted to bowl in a tournament with me all of a sudden, except for one dude. I think his game. I don't want to say his name, but I remembered his name, but I don't want to say his name. He was the only dude that was still rocking with me. He did doubles tournaments with me and everything. We kicked ass because we both wanted it. But these people nowadays, they want men who are just passive. Oh, it's okay. No, that's not okay with me. And it's not going to be okay for my children. I'm not going to raise them up in a pussified state of mind to just get by in this world.